The New England Patriots beat the Los Angeles Chargers 16-3 in the opening weekend of the NFL playoffs. The question is, did the New England Patriots prove that they are the team to beat in the AFC playoff bracket?
No, they did not, Keith. And I'll give you a couple of reasons. One, the Steelers and the Texans, to me, are two teams that I like more. Both of those teams, depending on who comes out of that game, I think there's a big opportunity for those two teams to compete with the New England Patriots. You've still got the Denver Broncos that have obviously been on the bye. And most importantly, Josh Allen got a big victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's a guy who we know has beaten this team already just a few weeks ago. And I got a lot of question marks about Drake Maye and that performance. This team I didn't walk away going, wow, I'm so impressed by the Patriots. I walked away with them having a good performance on defense against a bad offensive line, and I walked away going, okay, if Drake Maye turns the ball over as much as he did this night against other teams, they're not going to win those football games. And I think they got away with that tonight, and they're not going to get away with that in the future.
No, they won't get away with it in the future, but I'm gonna say this that obviously this was Drake May's first career playoff game, right?
Yep.
At home. A lot of pressure in Foxborough, right? The Tom Brady talk, the Bill Belichick talk, all of the things following up. Was it a great performance by Drake May? No, right? But it was a first playoff game performance, and I think you've seen flashes of okay, this guy can play at a really high level. I think there was some savvy things when he fake pitched the option, right? And then took it, I believe, for the first down. I thought that showed, him trying to get settled in. But also the other part is this that don't we have respect for Harbaugh and a football
Of
team that he
course.
rolls out, right? Like this is a tough, gritty football team. And I believe when it comes to the playoff, style makes fights, right? And this was always going to be a game that you were going to bet the under because you had two head coaches that were tough, gritty minded. They were going to want to run the football and play defense, right? And I think the score was always going to be low because that's how both teams approached this, right? I didn't think that a shootout was ever in order, and I'm not surprised that Drake May didn't throw for 300 yards and three touchdowns. So I'm gonna say this: I think they are the team to beat in the AFC, and I'm gonna go to partly of your point with the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think in this performance, you've seen the difference between Mike Vrabel, a head coach who's been there before, and Liam Cohen, a head coach who's his first time coaching the playoff game. Because going into that Buffalo Bills versus Jaguar games, what was the conversation? The Bills had one of the worst rushing defenses in the entire NFL, and the Jaguars tried to throw the football. And the Bills had one of the best passing defense, like pass coverage defenses, which played right into their strength. So I give the Patriots a lot of credit, and I don't expect a repeat performance like this from Drake May. And I think that they are the one team when you talk about the Broncos and a couple of these other teams left where they have a true identity. I respect their identity.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't walk away being very impressed by them. Like I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
walk.
an ugly game.
Yeah, I. That's why when you talk about the top of the AFC, I don't think that performance, at least for me, gave me any confidence that they're going to go beat anybody. And
So
the conversation about Drake May heading into this from a lot of
mhm.
Boston, I think needs to calm down, right? And I think that's what created this environment was he's MVP, he's going to be top, like calm down, right? Like let him play, let him earn his stripes. We know that they played a very very soft schedule, and when they played teams that were over 500, they were 4-3. And I think that's the part that I said, okay, let's see how they play. They played a team that's beaten and battered and got away with the win, but I didn't come away going, wow, what an impressive victory. I understand what you're saying. Yes, okay, Drake May, it's his first playoff game. In theory, he should get better, but he's also going to face better opponents. And so
Yeah,
I don't walk away. I guess it depends too on what defense comes out of that Texans Steelers game.
yeah.
How are they going to match up?
The Chargers are a good football team, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
like we're
yeah,
talking
they
about a
are.
bad football team. And I said it, styles make fights, right? That they were very similar in their approach. So I thought that one team's strength and weaknesses complemented the other team's strength and weaknesses, right? Like there was almost this was the Spider-Man meme, right? They were pointing and looking at each other and it's like, you know what, we win in very similar fashions. I want to ask you this. If you don't believe that the Patriots are the favorite, do you have a favorite or you think that the pool is wide open?
I mean, I don't know how anybody can not look at Josh Allen and that team. Now that they got that win on the road, they're good. And I think if Aaron Rodgers and I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get a win at home and they get that monkey off their back, nobody's going to want to play that team. That defense with TJ Watt and the way they've been playing, and that last game of the year that really built that confidence. You see the chemistry between Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers. I just have more faith in those two quarterbacks and those coaches, and I love Mike Vrabel. You know that friend of the show, right? We love Vrabel. But I just think that this team, if you're going to assume that Drake Maye is not going to make mistakes, I'm not going to do that. I think there's still going to be some of those moments that happen, and if those moments happen, you're going to be playing top-tier quarterbacks who've been there and done that. So I think they're evenly matched with Denver. Obviously, Denver's going to play Buffalo, and we'll see who comes out of that game. I'm going to pick Buffalo, just spoiler alert. But I think that's where I think if Buffalo wins that game and they have to play New England, they're not going to be afraid to play New England. And I don't believe I have to see Drake Maye have a great game, and he didn't have one. He had a decent game. So he got the win. They're moving on, and we'll see who they play. We'll see who they
I
play.
don't. We gonna get into this. I think this is part of this is tied into a little Caleb Williams conversation with
No,
this
this
Drake
has a
Maye.
lot to do with the fact that the Boston media market is full of shit and thinks that Drake Maye is the greatest quarterback that's ever played. And apparently they forgot about Tom Brady. So, I'm pretty sure that you guys all remember that he was the greatest quarterback of all time, and Drake Maye's got a long way to go before he gets to that point.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Well, you said something when you were talking. You talked about top tier quarterbacks, right? Let's talk about Justin Herbert, man. He is now 0-3 in the playoffs. The question is this: should Justin Herbert be considered a top 10 quarterback if he can't win in the playoffs?
I believe he is. I don't look at this game and fault Justin Herbert. I don't think there's a single quarterback in the NFL that could play and with that much pressure and get that much got hit. That I couldn't believe that he made it through that game. The amount of times he got hit and how hard he got hit and how often it happened. I mean, we've seen, if we go back to the Super Bowl between Tampa and the Kansas City Chiefs, in that game where Kansas City was a heavy favorite and got smoked by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because their two tackles were not playing in that game. That's a memory that I want to bring up on purpose because it is very hard in the NFL to not have your two best players on offense on your offensive line and win. And we saw what it looked like especially when Joe Alt went down, right? And we saw him come back and we saw the difference. But when he went down, this team just hasn't been the same. And that's no fault of Justin Herbert. So I walked away from this going, I'm not surprised that Justin Herbert played through, is a very tough guy. There's a lot of holes on this team on the offense that I'd still like to see them fill. And at the end of the day, they need to get their offensive linemen healthy and come into the season and hope that Omari and Hampton can come back healthy as well.
Yeah, so to answer this question, right, should Justin Herbert be a top 10 pick if he can't win in the playoffs? My answer to that question is if Dak Prescott isn't a top 10 quarterback, then we can't put Justin Herbert in. I think we have to hold people accountable across the board, point blank period. If Dak Prescott would have performed this way, nobody would have been talking about offensive tackles. Nobody would have said wide receivers got locked up. Nobody would have said, oh, it's New England, it's Foxborough. Everybody would have just said Dak Prescott is a choke
Okay,
job
well,
and he doesn't play well.
to that point,
Yeah, let's get
does
into it.
does
Yep.
does Justin Herbert have CeeDee Lamb? Does Justin Herbert have that offense, that offensive line? Like, that's not even a compare. Like, just because
It,
Dak has had
I'm not.
struggles,
So listen,
like Dak
we're
has had
talking about one
multiple
game.
Dak has had multiple stacked offenses and has gotten smoked in the playoffs. And it's not just Dak's fault. It's not just Dak's fault. It's the Cowboys' fault. And just in the same way that he gets too discredited, Justin Herbert does as well. I don't know a single NFL quarterback that could go out there tonight and play much better than Justin Herbert did with that much pressure. I don't know how you fault him for that, how you fault him for playing a Texans defense who pressured him and put him on his ass. Like, if a quarterback's not protected, they're not going to win. That's it. Like,
Right. So
I can't name 9 quarterbacks. Like, go ahead and name 9 quarterbacks that are better than Justin Herbert.
no, I mean we can get into it, right? Like I could go down a list and we could have the conversations, and we can have the conversations about it, right? If we want to start at the top, but I'm gonna get to this point because you
Go
talked
ahead.
about what he faced today, right? You talk about what Justin Herbert faced today. One, I was talking about the overall record being 0-3, right? He's 0-3 in the playoffs, have not won a playoff game yet, but he's consistently etched in stone as a top 10 quarterback, right? Now with Dak Prescott, I told you the 49ers games, the games that are held above his head, right, are the two 49er games and the Green Bay Packers game, where his team got boat raced in the trenches, right? Where they were not as good as the other opponent in the trenches. And those excuses were not made. My point is that we have to add more context to this conversation. And my point is that if we're gonna say Dak Prescott is not good enough to win in the playoffs and he shouldn't be a top 10 quarterback, then we should have the conversation. I just want consistency from those people who decide to hold players like Dak Prescott accountable, to hold Justin Herbert accountable. And if we're not going to hold them accountable and say, you know what, let's really dive deep into really what's going on with these football teams, then let's do that part of it, right? Like I think that's my biggest notion, is that like let's look at it in totality for everybody. But we can't take the hot topic and say, oh, Dak Prescott just sucks, instead of not looking at his offensive line and how they didn't match up with the 49ers teams, but then look at Justin Herbert's offensive line and say, oh man, well, that was just a really difficult situation because we'll be applying it.
Well, Dak, last time I checked, wasn't missing two of his offensive linemen when he played in any of those playoff games. So that's the first part. And second of all, Dak's much further along in his career than Justin Herbert. So that's part of this factor. You're trying to go 1v1, and they're not comparable situations. Dak's further in his career. I get what you're saying. You want consistency in quarterback criticism. That's what you want.
That's my point. And that's exactly what I'm saying. And
good luck with that.
Huh?
The Dallas,
but
Dallas,
it's good luck because it's going to force people to get out of this thought bracket of, okay, I just don't like this quarterback because of this, right? It's like, no, let's add nuance and conversation to the whole part. We like to throw blanket statements over everybody. Then we can't, because I don't want to, is because we're talking about, at the end of the day, building legacies, right? Like people are going to get into the Hall of Fame. If we consistently make excuses for Justin Herbert or Phillip Rivers versus a Russell Wilson or a Dak Prescott, then we're going to get to, oh, well, Justin Herbert and Phillip Rivers, they get into the Hall of Fame, and then Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, they weren't good enough. Like we're defining legacies by these conversations, and I think it's irresponsible to go about it that way. Like we have to just be, I'm just asking to be fair. If we're going to give Justin Herbert a pass, give Dak Prescott a pass. If we're not going to give Dak Prescott a pass, don't give Justin Herbert a pass.
What I'm saying is they're not in the same part of their career, so it's impossible.
They're a couple years apart, yeah, for sure. They're 5 years apart. But Justin Herbert is 0-3, and he's thrown 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in 3 playoff games.
100%. I understand. Let's revisit this conversation in 5 years or 6 years when he's had the same amount of time, because it's not a one-to-one with Dak. The other part of this is you want something to happen that can't. He plays for Dallas. You know what that means. He plays for the Cowboys. They want the attention. They get the attention. They get the criticism. Yep. He plays for the LA Chargers. It's not the same. Why is Dak Prescott paid the amount of money he's paid? Because he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. That's part
Justin
of the
Herbert's paid a lot of money too.
Not as much as Dak Prescott.
It's close.
No, it's not.
Close.
Nobody was close to that $90 million cap hit that Dak Prescott took this year.
I'm going to ask you this. So you think that the criticism is fair for Dak Prescott and the excuses are fair for Justin Herbert?
I don't think the criticism is fair of Dak. I think we've had that conversation on here before. We've talked about it. I don't think, but I also know that I don't think I'm not going to fault Justin Herbert for the game I watched today. Because I can't imagine any quarterback under that much pressure playing any better than he did. That's my point. I didn't watch this game from beginning to end and go, this is Justin Herbert's fault. And I don't know how anybody else could walk away thinking any other that. Like I walked away going, holy shit, Justin Herbert is really tough because I can't believe he made it through that game. That's what it felt like.
And I think a lot of people will have that take. I think if that was Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys that were up there playing the New England Patriots, I think a lot of people, the takeaway was Dak Prescott choked again. It could have been the same exact game plan, same exact situation, and people would have wrote the narrative that Dak Prescott choked.
Here's why it's not the same. I've never seen Dak Prescott run for his life in a playoff game. It's not the same.
You got to go back and watch the 49ers games. It was bad.
I'm talking about that Packers game. That Packers game was not because he was on the run the whole game. He played a bad game.
He was getting dominated also. Like they were getting dominated up front. Green Bay took off on them, and then what happened was the Dallas Cowboys became one-dimensional. You say that they wasn't missing both of their tackles. They were missing offensive linemen. Their offensive linemen, they don't have Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, right? Across the board. The Chargers, when healthy, have a top 5 offensive line. The Cowboys 100%. Haven't had a top 5 offensive line since 2016 or 2018. So it's been a while. They've been very average in the trenches.
Well, listen, Dak Prescott's not playing in the postseason, so I'd rather not turn this entire show into a Cowboys situation because at the end of the day, they're two completely different situations in completely different parts of their career. Yes, you and I can criticize quarterbacks fairly. I don't expect the rest of the media to do that because they won't, right? We know that. But we can hold them accountable. So we'll make that list because I can't wait to see what 9 quarterbacks that you have over Justin Herbert. I can't wait to see the list. Can't wait to see it.
Well, let's do. When do you want to put the? Because I could list off some names right now. You want to do it for tomorrow's
We'll do it.
show?
We'll do it after the NFL playoffs are over. We'll give it time to simmer and sit, and then I'll make sure that I can. This will definitely happen because I'm not going to forget.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Let's have some fun.